Hi, my name is Lindsay McCarran. I'm currently a special education teacher for Geneva 304. I teach in the SLC program for the kindergarten through second grade classroom, and this is a self-contained classroom environment. This is my third year in this type of setting. For quality instruction, there are many different types of components that I use in order to make my students successful. I use token economy systems that are in place. I use differentiated instruction for my students to meet all of their different needs. I also make sure to set up the classroom environment so that the students are free from distractions, but they're also able to work in a quiet and structured environment. When I say structured, I look at the schedule that they need to go through a lesson, that first then language, the levels of prompting that I use, and many other components. My students really need a structured environment because a lot of them have difficulty with behavior. Some of them are on the spectrum as well. Also, with quality instruction, I just make sure to have a lot of enthusiasm and energy while I teach, and also great knowledge of the content that I am teaching. And last but not least, I just try to make it fun, and I want the students to enjoy what they're learning. How I differentiate for instruction is really just knowing my students. I have great rapport with all of them, and so what I would do to differentiate is knowing what type of behavior management I need to use. I use different levels of prompting for each of my students. I can do the first then language like I had mentioned. I also know what visuals my students need. I also look at the coping tools that they need to know, such as deep breaths, take a break, and there are many other coping tools that they use, asking for help especially. So then, in order to differentiate instruction, I have to make a bunch of different academic groups in my classroom, and I have to have my master schedule, which always is very tricky with 3 different grade levels, and especially when there are mainstreaming opportunities in my classroom for my students. So when I do teach different subjects for different grade levels, I have to rely on my paraprofessionals to support the other students in my classroom that I am not working with currently in those academic groups. Therefore, they can work on independent work or they can work in groups, but my paraprofessionals are carrying out a lot of the other instruction or just reviewing the instruction that I already have gone over with them. So that has been really effective, and my schedule is very detailed down to like 5-minute increments, but it works. And I've had a lot of experience in doing so. So the process that I go through when creating a goal for a student's IEP, first I look at the present levels for that student for academic and functional performance, and I just make a T-chart of their strengths and areas for growth. And then I look at the areas for growth side and I start looking at goals. I want to make sure that those goals are SMART goals. And when I look at them, they need to be specific. I want it to be specific to the student. And so I look at their behaviors or the academics that they need, and those skills that they are where they are discrepant. So then I will go in, I will collaborate with other professionals in the building, like other professionals on the IEP team, and then we will work together to make some of the goals. So here is an example of a goal that I've written. By April 2020, when presented with a demand or request, Johnny, that's a fictitious name, will follow the demand or request when engaging in maladaptive behaviors during an average of at least 95% of recorded opportunities in all school settings. And then in that in the portion on Power IEP that we use for the present levels, that's when I tell what those maladaptive behaviors are. So ignoring directions, verbal refusal, etc. So then it's easier to measure. So thanks.